Hi, I'm Clay with Clay Martin Homes at the Cutting Edge Realtors, and I've started this YouTube channel to help seniors and their families navigate the highly emotional process of downsizing and selling your lifelong home and deciding what the right move is for you next. For a lot of our clients, it is moving into independent living and sometimes assisted living. Today, I'm joined with Elisa at Sisters Moving Seniors. She is a professional downsizer who helps seniors downsize and transition, and she manages the overall move from one place to the next. Real quick, before we get started, if you are planning a move, downsizing, and a transition in any way, shape, or form in the next 6 to 12 months, go ahead and give us a call today because the sooner we start, the better we are able to serve you. All right, let's get started. All right. Do you want to tell us a little bit about how you got into the senior downsizing?
Yes. So we got into it actually during COVID. I had read an article from an organization called NASM, which is National Association of Senior and Specialty Move Managers.
Okay.
And I thought that sounded interesting, so I started looking into it a little bit more to see that there's a whole organization out there dedicated to helping seniors downsize and transition to something smaller, whether it's senior living or with family or whatever. So we are our own independent business.
Okay. So it's not a franchise.
It's not a franchise, but the organization that we're a member of is a national organization. And that organization provides training and resources and classes on like safety and ethics and stuff like that. So we are part of that organization. But that was kind of how we got into it. It was just the article that I read sounded interesting. And we had helped some family members move in the past. And at the time, we had just talked about how hard moving is always, but especially as you get older, it gets even harder. And so we had just had that conversation, my sister and I, and then I heard about this and was like, oh, didn't realize there was other people that we could help. So that was kind of how we got into it.
That's cool. What was your background before you got into senior downsizing?
So my background, after I graduated college, I worked in the mortgage business for 15 years.
Okay.
So underwriting mortgage loans. And so I feel very comfortable in the whole, real estate mortgage market. And then had kids and stayed home to raise the kids, but was involved with everything school related. So PTO and booster club and all of that, everything from secretary, treasurer, president. So did all of that for pretty much 18 years until our last graduated high school.
Okay.
And then it was a couple of years before she graduated high school that I started this business. So
okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Is it just you or do you run it with somebody else?
So I started it with my sister.
Okay.
And she does a lot more of the behind the scenes right now, and I'm at all the job sites.
Okay.
And then we have a few women that help us, just depending on what the nature of the job is. But I'm pretty much at every job that we do.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So something that comes up often to me, and I've even fell victim to it a few times, is like, what is the box that downsizing fits in? What exactly is downsizing? Because you're not quite a mover,
right?
You're not quite an estate sale person,
right?
But you are. You fit right in the middle of both of those, correct?
Right.
So you want to dig?
Yeah. So what we usually do is that we'll go in, and I tell people all you have to do is make NASM has a flyer that we can pass out, and on one side of the flyer it's like to-do list, call mover, call downsizer, all of this stuff, and on the other side it's call NASM person. So we will come in and do everything. So we're going to come in and we're going to do the walkthrough with you. We're going to get the floor plan of your new place, because most of the time, not always, but I would say probably 98% of the time that people call us, they already know where they're going, and so they've already made that decision. So we'll come in, we'll get the floor plan of where they're going, figure out what's going to fit from their current home to their new home, because most of our clients are moving from 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 square feet to 1,000 usually, something roughly like
Or
that.
less sometimes.
So, or
Yeah.
less, so they can't take it all with them. So we kind of walk through, help them make those decisions of what's important,
Okay.
what they really, because everybody, we all have stuff, we all have lots of stuff that we think means a lot to us, but at the end of the day, it doesn't. So I always try to talk to people about what's the most important, what means something to you, what holds a special memory for you.
Okay.
And those are the things that we're going to focus on taking with them. We'll get them all packed up, we get them moved over, we get them unpacked, get everything put away. All of that stuff that they didn't take with them, then we have resources for getting rid of it. So as far as maybe it's an estate sale or a silent auction, or maybe it's just straight up donation. But yeah, we'll help them get their house cleaned out. Maybe family's going to come in and take a little bit of it. So we kind of walk through all that with them to figure out what are you going to take, and then what are we going to do to get rid of all the stuff that you're not going to take.
Okay.
So that's what makes us a little bit different. People will say, well, the movers can come in and pack up, and it's
Right.
like, the movers absolutely can come in and pack you, but they're not going to walk through with you. They just want to know what you want to take. They want you to say, I'm taking this, this, and this. And most of our clients don't know what they want to take. They don't know how to downsize from this to this, the stuff that they've accumulated for all these years. And a lot of our clients have been in, we had one client that had been in their home for 65 years. And they moved in as soon as they got married. And
65. That might be the longest I've heard.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was a long time. So that was a really hard move for both of them. That's the thing, is that the movers are going to come in, a traditional mover, they're going to pack what you tell them to pack, but most
and they're
people
going to do it on the day of or the day before.
The movers,
like they're not.
Right.
So you really have to be on the ball and
Right.
like be working hard and be working fast.
Right.
As opposed to like you and your services, it's a little bit at a time over the course of days, weeks, or sometimes even months, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Cool.
Yeah, and it all depends. Some people wait till the last minute and call us, so we're cramming it all in within a 5 to 10 day period. Some people, like I have 3 clients right now that I'm working with that all contacted me back in December. So we've slowly been working through it, and all 3 of their moves, ironically, come up at the exact same time in March. So that's all super tricky, but yeah, so we've been working together for a few months on the downsizing and the organizing and the figuring it out piece.
Okay.
So yeah, that piece we can do relatively quickly, but it's just what the energy level of our client is. Some are like, yeah, let's come in and whip it out, and some are like, let's just do a couple of hours.
Yeah.
A couple of times a week and drag this out. So yeah.
I know. So like what I do, I'm a realtor and I help seniors like transition and downsize, and I help, I work closely with a lot of sales reps at communities, and the number one like complaint, I guess you would call it, from sales reps is mom and dad, the future resident. They come in, they're excited. They have a reason for wanting to get into the community.
Right.
And they're like, cool, let's do this. And they go back home where they're maybe isolated or they don't have the help.
Right.
And they've been there for a long time. They have a lot of stuff, and the place they're going is much smaller, and they're overwhelmed.
Right.
Or they feel helpless, so they give up.
Right.
Sometimes like paralysis by analysis, right?
Oh, for sure.
That is the perfect client for you, right? So like talk a little bit about how like what a consult looks like, just to kind of help people get over the fear or the overwhelm of that.
Well, the overwhelmed, I hear that a lot. A lot of my clients will say, I'm just overwhelmed by the whole thing. And that's why I say, I'm going to come in and just take care of it all for you. I'm going to walk you through. I'm going to, give you a little checklist, a little timeline, whatever. But yeah, my initial consult is free. I don't charge for that. So I always go out. We always do a walkthrough. We're going to walk through their house. We're just going to talk a little bit about what they are trying to get out of this. Some people have a clear vision when they call us. Most of them don't. They don't have a clear vision of what they want. They just know they have to get from here to here. They're not sure how that's going to happen. So yeah, we do the walkthrough. On the walkthrough, a lot of times people are pointing things out, oh, I like this, I don't like this, whatever. So that kind of gives me an idea of what we're working with. And then, I'll write up a proposal and send it to them and I always break it down the downsizing piece and the packing piece and the unpacking piece, and like we hang pictures and
Okay, so you do
yeah,
setup
so
too.
we do set up.
Okay.
Yeah. When we're done, we take away all the boxes. I always tell people I try to make your new place look as much like your old place as we can, so
Okay.
I'm not leaving any work for you to do.
Okay.
I might leave a box of pictures if you didn't have time to go through that, so I might leave a couple things like that, but I'm not the unpacking piece. Everything's going to be on the shelves, everything's going to be in the kitchen cabinets, the clothes are going to be put away, so all that's going to be done. So I explain all that to them when we do our walkthrough. But yeah, the initial walkthrough is mainly just to kind of get an idea of where they're at, where they're, what they're thinking they want to take, what they're thinking they're not. It just gets them kind of starting that process in their head about these are some of the things that I need to think about.
Okay.
It's like if they have a whole, kitchen full of dishes. Okay, let's talk about what your new place look like. You've got 20 cabinets here and you've got 4 in your new place. Obviously, you can't take it all. So I give them some things to start to think about. You can't take all this. So start to think about what's your most important. Which ones do you like the best? And yeah.
I sorry, you said that and I got excited to say, because I see it time and time again. We all have like our functional dishware,
Mhm.
and then we have our for
Yeah.
look dishware,
Yeah.
like a china,
Yeah.
right? And that age group, everybody had a
Oh,
set
yeah.
of china.
Yeah.
To me, I think it's silly. Nobody ever wants to part ways with that. They want
Right.
to take it with them.
Right.
But when you ask, like, when's the last time you used it?
Yeah.
Like, sometimes it's never. Sometimes it was, a long time ago.
Yeah.
Is there one thing that you see that these folks get hung up on emotionally that, like, they have a hard time parting with?
China is one of them.
Okay.
And I will tell people, I'm like, then use it. Why is it sitting there boxed
I
up?
love when you say that, because I'm like, if you have it,
Yeah.
you like it,
Yeah.
then use
Then
it.
let's use it.
Yeah.
They're like, well, these are my everyday dishes. I'm like, okay, which ones do you like better? They're like, well, I like my china better. I'm like, then let's use your china. Let's
Right.
take that with you.
Right.
So so they get hung up on that. A lot of family heirlooms they get hung up on, and that's what I always say, things that are irreplaceable, let's think more about that. Anything that you could go down to Walmart or Target and replace in 5 minutes for under $20, then let's get rid of it. Everybody has 10 spatulas and things
Right.
like that, so we don't need to get hung up on that. Let's just take what you're going to need, just a couple of things, and get rid of that. But it's the family heirlooms that it's like, okay, let's figure it out. Can we display it somewhere? Is there somebody we can send it to?
Okay.
Because I don't ever, especially when people are moving long distance, a lot of times they are getting packed up and leaving before their house gets emptied out.
Right.
And so I always tell them, if you're on the fence about it, I'd rather you take it and get there and realize, you know what, I didn't want this after all, than get there and be like, dang, I wish I had brought that cabinet or whatever, because you can't get it back.
Right.
So sometimes I will err on the side of take it and figure it out when you get there, because
Right.
I don't ever want you regretting on the other end. But yeah.
Speaking of that, do you feel like a lot of people take too much to their initial move, and then once they get there, they realize, like, as they're setting up, that they don't necessarily need everything they brought?
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I will say it's not as many as I thought it was going to be.
Okay.
So I would say it's probably half and half. Half of our people are pretty good about narrowing down what they can and want to take.
Okay.
And then others are like, well, I really want it. And my other thing is, I say, I don't want your new place to look like a furniture store, where you're
Sure.
stepping over everything. So
Right.
if it's not going to fit, then let's not take it. But
Okay.
at the same time, I'd rather you get it there, realize it doesn't fit in your space,
Mhm.
and bring it back, than get there and say, oh man, I wish I had it. Because we can go back and get it,
Right.
especially
Right.
if we haven't emptied the house. We can go back and get it, but we might as well take it over there. And I did have a client recently that moved. Oh, I forget what she was moving to, like 600. She was already in like 1,000 square feet, and then she was
Okay.
moving down to 600.
Okay.
And she had 3 recliners she wanted to take in the new space.
Okay.
And I was like, that is not going to fit. But she was pretty insistent she wanted to take it. I'm like, all right. And it was actually just down the hall, so that was fine.
Okay.
We get it down there, and realized that she got two of them in, which I was surprised
Okay.
about. Actually, I didn't even
They're
think
like
she'd
one
get
for
two.
morning, one for evening, one for
Exactly.
afternoon.
Yeah, it was one for her and one for her guest. But yeah, so she got the two in. But yeah, sometimes it's just seeing it visually,
Okay.
realizing, oh, that's not gonna fit. So.
Speaking of visually, for those of you that may not know, like you helping your mom or dad if you're an adult child, it is common for a senior living community to have a blueprint or a layout of the room that your mom and dad are going to. So a lot of time, professionals like her can take a look at that blueprint or that layout and go ahead and kind of start envisioning what furniture will go, what furniture will fit based on that layout. And plus, she does this day in and day out. She can kind of start to tell you, a sectional couch is definitely going to be too big. Let's maybe, sacrifice a sectional for a love seat or a smaller couch or 3 recliners in that case. Um, I read somewhere that the average adult child lives on average 500 miles away from their aging mom and dad or more, right? Meaning when that time does come, they kind of have to put their life on hold, travel to where mom and dad are, have that emotional conversation, right?
Yeah.
And then, pick and choose like professionals to help out,
right?
Because they have their own kids or they have work going on, that sort of thing. Do you often find that adult children have a hard time emotionally as well with mom and dad downsizing? Do they help the process? Do they hurt the process? What do you see? How do adult kids factor into this picture?
Yeah, it's funny. I've only run into a couple of the adult kids that have an issue with it.
Okay.
Most of the adult kids are the ones encouraging their parents to make the move because they realize they just can't be by themselves anymore. Maybe it's health issues or mobility issues or whatever. Right. So while it could be a little sad for the child that their parents are selling their home and moving on, the kids are the ones that are usually making
like advocating for mom and dad
for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So yeah, and most of the phone calls I will say that we get from their child looking for assistance are out of state, know. So I get a lot of phone calls from people, different area codes than our local one, because they're researching who they can get to help mom or dad, and they're giving us a call. So
just for fun, what's the farthest away you've had a phone call from?
I think Maine.
Maine?
Yeah, because that's where her daughter was living, so that's where she moved to, was Maine, so that would have to have been probably the farthest. But yeah, we've actually moved people on both coasts. So
I had a guy, he was actually, he was the power of attorney for his aunt.
Okay.
And he lived in British Columbia.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, hey, this is like the furthest, transaction I've had.
Right.
But he did a great job for his aunt, and we got it all figured out and worked out. A couple questions about downsizing.
Yeah.
When someone hires you, and you come in for a consult, what is the best route for you? Like, do you want to do it quickly? Do you listen to like what it is they want? Like what? I guess if you had in a perfect world, what would be the most ideal process for helping that client? Would it be starting a month before, 3 months before, 6 months before? Like what's the best way to go about that?
So if we're just strictly downsizing, which I do get those phone calls too. I have helped clients that they call me, they're like, I'm not ready to move, but I know that I need to go through my garage, or I need to go through my storage room or whatever.
Okay.
So I actually love those clients because the moving process, as you know, is very emotional. So when my clients, when they're calling me, it's a double emotional because they're getting rid of a home that they've been in for, many, many years, and they're having to get rid of all their stuff too. A lot of people when they're moving, they're taking everything, like we moved out here from Indiana 13 years ago. We just packed up our whole house and brought it out, and so, everything was the same. But for most of our clients, they're not doing that. Right. So it's very emotional, getting rid of their house and getting rid of all their things at the same time. So I always say if you can start to go through all of that before you're ready to sell the house, that kind of helps with the emotions. You're still in your home and you're just getting, you're just going through a
So it's
closet
not
or
too much
whatever.
change at
It's not
once.
too much
It's
change at
just a little
once.
bit at a
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Over time makes it
Right.
easier.
But when I get the phone calls from those clients that are moving to wherever, to senior living or, with family, um, I would say probably a good time frame I would say is 2 to 3 weeks,
Okay.
because we can go in, we can spend 3, 4, 5 days, kind of doing the downsizing, decluttering. Sometimes it only takes a day. Sometimes it's, I've had clients where it's taken, a couple of months to go through and do all of that because they only want to do a little bit at a time. But yeah, if we can go through, we'll spend a few days, and then it only takes us usually 2 days to pack up.
Okay.
Maybe sometimes three, depending on how much they're taking with them. But usually we can get packed up in 2 days, and then the movers come one day, they load the truck, they move it over, we start the unpacking process, and then we'll finish the unpacking the following day. So,
Okay.
if we were on a time crunch, start to finish, we can usually do everything within about 6 to 8 days.
Okay.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong, just for these folks that may be watching, just because you can, do it in 2 to 3 weeks doesn't mean they can call 2 to 3 weeks and like get on the schedule and make it happen, right? It's better to start early, especially during what I call real estate season,
Right.
when everybody wants to sell, which is typically like May to September.
Yeah.
It can get bottlenecked, and I'm sure
Yeah.
there's only limited people and limited
yeah.
days.
Yeah.
So again, if you are wanting to downsize or make this move or even just thinking about it,
Mhm.
the more you know, the better. So go ahead and reach out and do the free consult. There's nothing to lose. And then you can put a plan together and throw some dates together so that when you are ready, you already have the right team to support you. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
I actually do get a lot of phone calls like that where I'll come at, people, they'll be like, my realtor told me to call you, but I'm not really ready. And I'm like, I'm happy just to come out, I mean, I'm a no pressure person, I'm
Okay.
never going to force you or pressure you or anything. I just want to come out and give you the best advice that I can do. And, if you're not ready to do something yet, I can still put a game plan together for you on things to start to think about and work through on your own before you're ready to make that jump.
Okay.
So,
I love it.
yeah.
Are there any mistakes that you see people make or anything that you would tell people not to do?
Um, I guess probably the biggest mistake would just be taking too much stuff.
Okay.
Just getting hung up on, we had one woman who took 20 sets of towels with her. And we're like, you don't need 20 sets. She's like, I do. I need all of these.
I
We're
do.
like, and at the end of the day, they're our clients. So they get to, I always tell people, I'm never going to tell you what you can't take.
Right.
I'm just going to guide you.
Okay.
I'm going to give you some things to think about. And, so in a case like that, the only thing she had going for her, she was actually moving to Michigan, where her son was. So she didn't know what she was moving into.
Okay.
So she hadn't bought anything yet. I guess, let me say it that way. She hadn't bought anything yet. So she, in her mind, was going to have all the room in the world so she could take it with her. Most of our clients, I can be like,
we're working with this.
Yeah, we're working with this space. You can take it. So, but yeah, I'm never going to tell you no. I'm just going to guide you and tell you, here's what to think about.
Like ultimately, they're the boss. We're just there to help them.
Absolutely.
Right. But sometimes, advice is, the key to it all.
Exactly.
This is something that's true for. I was just talking to my wife this morning about this interview.
Yeah.
One of the questions is, I see people start to downsize on their own.
Yeah.
And they end up just shuffling things around
Mm-hmm.
and feel more cluttered or more stressed out afterwards because they maybe haven't made any progress or they've gone backwards in terms of progress.
Yeah.
If you're able and willing, do you have any tips and tricks you would recommend to share with these folks that just they can't wait, they want to start today, and it's just they're moving forward, not just shuffling things around.
Yeah. If they are wanting to do some downsizing themselves, then you kind of have to create separate spaces. So I just had a client recently. Her parents had passed, but they needed some help going through deciding what they were taking was between her and her brother and some family. So we kind of sectioned off the garage, and it was like, this is your area, this is your brother's area, this is other family, and this is straight up donation, you know. So
Okay.
kind of the same thing, but on a little bit smaller scale when I'm helping a client. So whether I'm doing it or they're doing it on their own, yes, make those piles, you know, don't just, you know, move from the kitchen to the bathroom or
Right.
move something from the bathroom to the bedroom. You know, it's like it's got to go out, you know. So whether you have a space in the living room or a garage or whatever, you know, get a box. And when that box is full, then you take it and drop it off.
Okay.
But yeah, you've got to actually move it out of the house. So yeah, it's just making those, I don't want to say piles, but those areas. Yeah.
But kind of an identity,
Right.
like each pile or each
Right.
box or each area has this identity,
Right.
and that's gonna be, you know, giving to this kid or that kid,
Right.
donating or throwing
Right.
away
Right.
or selling.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's helpful
Yeah.
because there's been times we just this past weekend we cleaned out our hallway closets.
Oh, okay.
So hallway closet
Yeah.
for a bathroom, and then our closet in our master or
Okay.
primary bathroom.
Okay.
And we found like NyQuil from
Oh,
2015,
yeah.
like
Oh,
Band-Aid that looks like old newspapers, like all
Exactly.
that stuff just sits in there.
Yeah.
There's no telling how long we've had it.
Yeah.
And just getting everything out,
Yeah.
checking like label, checking
Yeah.
dates, seeing what
Yeah.
we want, seeing what we don't. And it felt so good
Oh yeah.
to put it back in these neat little bins that we got from the dollar store.
Yeah.
And then I went and gave blood, and I had to my little finger prick.
Okay.
The Band-Aid fell off, so I went to get another Band-Aid. I knew exactly where they were,
Yeah.
and it was awesome.
Yeah.
It felt before
Yeah.
I would have had a mini meltdown
Yeah.
trying to find them.
Oh right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah. I think that is one of the nice things that when the clients move into their new place, everything is nicely organized. Where
Mhm.
before it might not have been. You know, they might
Right.
have Band-Aids here and Band-Aids there, and
Because
you know,
they
things
set
all
that house
over.
up 30
Mhm.
years ago.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And then things just got added to, not really
Exactly.
like pulled out and organized.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
All right. So it's story time. Do you have any emotional stories or impactful stories that you've encountered with any of your downsizing clients?
Well, I have kind of a funny story.
Okay.
So, and this just kind of speaks to how we will go up and above to make sure everything is taken care of. So,
Okay.
the client that I was talking about that moved to Michigan, she had to get her house kind of cleaned out just to show it. So she was the house was listed, which, okay, I'm going to back up a minute. When you were asking, you know, what's the time frame? It's always nice that if we can get the client out of the house and into their new place before the
Right.
showings, that's always nice. That's not always the case. So we work with it.
Okay.
So in this instance, they were going to have to do showings before she was ready to move out. So
Okay.
she rented a storage shed. We packed up a bunch of stuff. We got it in the storage shed, and then showed the house, and then it was time to move. So then we got everything else packed up, loaded up the moving truck, and off they went. Well, the one thing that the movers forgot was her canoe. She had a kayak in the garage, and so the movers left that behind. And she really wanted it, so I called her because I told her, you know, I could sell it for you. No, I want it. And the movers never took everything from her storage shed either. And so she said, just take it down there, put it in there, and I'll come back and get it all. Well, it didn't fit in the storage shed, it was all full. So I'm like, well, if she really wants her kayak, I can't, you know,
Right.
get rid of it. So I threw it in my husband's GMC Yukon and brought it home, and it's been sitting in my garage for a couple of years. And she's still trying to figure out how to get, because I'm like, well, I'll just sit in my garage until, you know, when she gets movers to move the stuff from her storage unit. Then we'll just load up the canoe at the same time. And she's still working on trying to figure all that out.
Trying to figure out how to get back from Michigan
But
to get a kayak.
So she still has her stuff in her storage unit, and her canoe is still sitting in my garage. So yeah.
That's awesome. So speaking of that, real quick, just to expand on that, I always say like people have too much stuff right now.
Mhm.
I mean, it's not something I say. I think it's
Yeah.
true.
Oh, for sure.
So she's in another state. She
Uh-huh.
downsized. She's gone. She's
Uh-huh.
moved on.
Uh-huh.
But she still has a storage unit here
Right.
of stuff.
Right.
Do you feel like that's common? So is that do you think she's coming back to get that, or she just, she's probably gonna leave that,
I
and
mean,
she just doesn't want to get rid of it?
yeah, I hope she comes back to get it.
Okay.
I mean, she has called me a couple of times when she thought she had somebody who was going to be able to pack it up and get it
Okay.
out there.
Cool.
So, yeah, so I hope that she's going to be able to get it out there. But yeah, that is one of the things that I tell people. And the only reason we did the storage unit for her was because we needed stuff out of the house so that they could show it. She had, too much furniture and a bunch of stuff, so we had to get it out. But I will have clients that when we're packing up their house and they're moving to senior living, they'll be like, well, I don't want to get rid of all this, so let's just pack it up and I'm going to rent a storage unit.
Okay.
And that I usually will tell them no.
Right, because it's just a trap, right?
Yeah,
they'll
it is
never
a
go back
trap.
to that
That's
storage
just
unit.
it, And again, I'm never going to tell you
Right.
you can't do it, but I highly discourage it. And so far, I've never had anybody other than her, and she was a different situation. So far, I've never had anybody who's like, okay, they all really understand that once it's in that storage unit, you're never going to see it again.
Right.
If you're putting it there because, family's going to come pick it up later and they just can't get out here right now, that's one thing. But if you're like, just pack up all my stuff and put it in there and I'll look at it later, you're never going to look at it later.
Right.
So let's figure out what we're going to do with it. And if it means that much to you, then let's figure out how we're going to display it. Maybe we have to buy a little shelving unit for you to put it on, or, whatever it is. But,
okay.
But yeah, I don't recommend just putting stuff in storage because it's just going to sit there.
Yeah. It's like Storage Wars it's a TV show for a reason.
It's crazy. Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to tell the viewers that maybe I didn't ask or bring up or talk about that we left out?
I don't think so.
No?
I mean, I guess the only thing I would say is just to recognize that it's a hard process. It's going to be hard. There's going to be tears. I mean, I have clients that will stop and cry as we're sitting there doing it. And sometimes I cry along with them because I get it. It's hard. So,
absolutely.
you're leaving one life for a new life, but then I also tell them you're going to be around a lot of people and you're going to have a lot of fun and activities, and
it's the end of an era, but it's also the start of a new one.
Yeah, it's start of something new.
Yeah, and sometimes that house you've been in for 30 years or more, you may be by yourself in that house, which can be isolating. And change, nobody really likes change or the idea of it. But there have been many clients that I have helped, I'm sure you have helped, that there's some resistance there. They end up in a community. The first week they don't like it. By the end of the first month or start of the second month, they're out socializing. They're doing activities. They love it. And I mean it from the bottom of my heart. It's amazing to see. I do hate the first month because there's friction and it's sad, right? But once you kind of give in and meet people and socialize, you see like this perk up in life, and that's a really cool thing to see. So, if you are contemplating this whole process of downsizing, leaving a place you know and you've been comfortable for decades, it's not all bad, right? There is emotion that you have to go through to get to the other side, but it's a beautiful thing, and like most of my people, they are very happy that they did it. Cool.
Yeah, I have a funny story with
that.
Please.
Please.
We had a client that we moved in. She did not want to move, but she was having mobility issues, so she knew she needed to. And she's like, well, I'm never leaving my room. She goes, they're just going to bring me my food in here because I'm never going to go down there, all that. And a couple months later, we were moving somebody else into the same place, and we're walking through. It was lunchtime, and we're walking through the dining area, and we saw her at the table. And I mean, it was a whole big table, and she was, just leading court, and it was so funny. And we stopped. We're like, Helen? She goes, oh my gosh. I go, I thought you weren't leaving your room. She goes, it's all fine.
Right?
So she had made herself at home, and it was all good. So
it is. It's kind of like comical to see that because it's just a complete 180.
Yeah.
And I get it. Like I personally don't like change myself. Or the idea of it.
Yeah.
And
That's
typically once I give into it, I'm like, oh, okay.
It's like that one's so bad. Yeah.
I wish we could all just learn to embrace it so quickly instead of creating that resistance.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, why don't you tell everybody the best way to get in touch with you?
So our website is sistersmovingseniors.com. We are also on Facebook and Instagram. If you go to our website, our phone number's on there, and that's a cell, so you can call or send a text. Yeah, we also have an email on there, sistersmovingseniors@gmail.com. So everything is Sisters Moving Seniors. So if you just Google that, we should come up, and yeah, it's
I
the best
love
way
it.
to find us.
Well, I'll make sure to put her contact info, her website, everything below in the description. If you found value in this video today, please make sure to hit the like and subscribe button. That way you get notified the next time I drop a video. And I want to thank you so much for being
Yeah,
here
thanks for
today.
having me.
If you and your family are having these conversations and you don't know where to start, please pick up the phone and call me, call Lisa. Again, we are only here to provide value and help and make this as seamless and smooth as possible. We do this day in and day out. We know what it's like, and I really do think we can provide a ton of value and help you all. Um, Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope to see you on the next episode, and we will see you next time. Bye.